Oh, we are live, I think. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, everything's functional. It's doing what it needs to do. Hey, I am good to see you there. Azula and Sunny don't work in the same sentence. I don't know what you're talking about. Look at all that sun. It just comes from one direction, okay? But it's there. Ignore the clouds. Ooh. Yes. I said yes. I know, girly. We'll talk about it in a sec. Anyway, so how we all doing? Look, one of the nice things about focusing with the beasts and stuff in FA is, like, you know, a nice change of pace from other stuff we've looked at, you know, up until this point. Like, it's nice to actually be like, yes, a completely different architectural style from, like, all the Erd Tree and, like, Catacomb generic crap and things we've been looking at lately. Though I will say, some of it's a little avant-garde. What's the agenda today? Not much. I don't think it's even going to be a particularly long stream today. For reasons which will become obvious. But I did want to take a look at a few more things in FA to see if I... 1 second. Oh, okay, we're... A crisis averted. Doing good practicing drawing? Well, that's nice. It's always nice to be able to practice your craft, you know? Yeah. Speaking of craft, I am wondering, because I think I pretty much decided that, yeah, it has to be the Beastmen who are the builders for Farm Azula and stuff. You know, just fits with, like, you know, their Stone Age tech and everything else that they were having originally. But I am, one thing that's got me wondering now is how much of their culture was developed beforehand, right? Like what's the story with their Beast King Sorosh? Was there, like, wars and conflict and stuff before they ended up with the dragons, or was it like all of their evolution and stuff happened with the help of, like, the Two Fingers or something actually, like, directly guiding them or something? The Two Fingers are also a curious detail for this, I would say. Wait. I swear. Rah. Beastmen were the equivalent to cavemen. Yeah, that does seem to be the idea, right? They were a Stone Age people, at least at the point when they are becoming part of this dragon beast Newman umbrella civilization in Farm Azula, right? So that's definitely happening. And I guess the question would be, just how far were they getting on their own, or were they always kind of like, oh yeah, we kind of always, like, have this reverence and fear for the ancient dragons and all this stuff, and we're not really too crazy about everything happening, you know, with the out there being cities or anything, you know, they're just out in the wild. Like, is the idea with Sorosh, because he's supposed to be the wisest, was it something like Sorosh was chosen as the Beast King at the point that the beasts met their god, right? Like, was that the idea? Howdy, Xavier. Good to see you. All right. I also, how often do we see these little, like, they're obviously gravestones, right? But, like, this style, like almost like a burial tablet kind of thing, right? Alrighty. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, nothing really to see. I think I should have gone back to one of the earlier areas. I had better lighting there, but whatever. And we also have lighting here, technically, so... But I don't know if it's exactly the same. But I think we have a clear... I think this very clearly, you combine it to, like, feline skulls, and it's pretty one-to-one. There we go. And then we have, of course, the king queen statues. No, you don't. All right, so I'm sure you guys have been probably getting some idea throughout the stream and kind of alluding to it, but big change happening in my life now. We've got here a new golden. Her name is Sunny. She's a 7-month-old puppy. So basically, she is a toddler on speed. I have to, and like every toddler, she is convinced that she needs to put every little thing she comes across in her mouth. Just earlier, she got like a piece of paper. I don't know where the hell she found it, but she found a piece of paper and she ended up picking it up like, oh my goodness. She is absolutely a menace. Just day one. But yeah, so I'm oh, nope, leave that to me. But I'm fostering her at the moment. So we'll see how adoption, if adoption's in the cards, but currently I am taking care of her, so it's been a little like rough getting some of this set up and having to go pick her up and stuff. She was a little far away, but been able to grab her, and now it's been like, you know, trying to wipe her out on the energy front. So I can't promise this week I'll be able to be more consistent with streaming, just because she is going to basically be my priority if I had to choose between you guys in chat and obviously her. I think you know, she's going to be a little bit more, but she's a sweetie pie, though she's a little nippy. Girl, you know, I get you need to teeth, but like my foot is not the thing to teeth on. The new child, yeah, the new little rascal. Oh my god, you. Yeah, I know, I see you, girly. But yeah, so she's quite the little tyke, that's for sure. Definitely not like Rusty. She has zero interest in balls. She is 100% a woman. She has no sense of wanting to keep her balls. She does seem to be the kind that likes like just chewing and stuff right now. Again, we'll see if that's like a general thing for her, if that's just because, you know, she's teething and things. And she has to learn the rules and things. Like you gotta teach him everything from the start. So I think she's taking to sitting and stuff so far very well. Need to get her to lay down and things a little bit more into that. And try to, in general, gonna have to take her out and make sure she gets her energy and stuff through. I've been thinking about this this skull head, whatever you want to call it, quite a bit recently. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, is this supposed to be an ancient dragon? Is this supposed to be a wyvern, right? Because, like, you think it, you look at it, you're like, well, it looks very similar to stuff like the wyvern skulls in many respects, like with the fin things on the side. But then I look at stuff like Grail's design, and Grail looking a bit more with the physiological features of like the ancient dragons. Like, she's got the 2 arms, she's got like 2 sets of wings on her back and things like that. So I'm like, God, was the idea like Grail was going to be an ancient dragon? And then I look at like concept art, and instead of seeing the placky style heads exactly, oh, I don't think we can see it from here. Yeah, I gotta, wrong way. Be ready in case she thinks the beast met her other dogs and barks at them. So far, I don't think she even acknowledges that the TV is a thing. She is 100% completely focused on me. For better and worse. Probably Wyvern would be my bet. Yeah, I've been trying to think about it because so as I was saying, the big thing also is like when we look at concept art, it's actually that exact style of head being used for the ancient dragon bodies in the ground here, right? And obviously not everything is consistent with the concept art, right? Like that's like the point and things like that. Like for example, they didn't have in the concept art the ancient dragon statues, which are so conveniently placed below where these bodies are, right? And there's obviously a lot more of them. Like in the final game, they only like fit 4, but there was like, I think like 8 to 10 or something in the art. But anyway, the point is that they were not going with the placky style heads. It was a lot more clearly the type of head we just were looking at, and the same kind of head that you'd see on Grail. So I'm wondering if the idea was they just had a different design for ancient dragons at the time. They made the head, they put the head there because the idea is that this is a dragon temple dedicated specifically to the ancient dragons, as we can see, right? Hence obviously trying to install those statues and everything right below where the ancient dragons are buried. And then there we go. Ah! I'm not doing very well today. Yeah, Wyvern would be, I definitely don't think Wyvern should be discounted as a possibility, but it's just a little weird if the idea is like, we have this giant Wyvern head and we're going to offer it up to you in the middle of our underground burial chamber where we have all the stuff related to ancient dragons already being, there we go, right? So you have like this stuff here, specifically for the ancient dragons, right? Clearly and unambiguously. And you could say the same for the general idea of the dragon temple, right? Obviously would be for the ancients and not the wyverns who they're like hating and stuff. And yet they have like the petrified looking head. And at least in terms of petrification, we don't really see that with wyverns. We see that with the ancient dragons for the most part. So yeah. And then yeah, that's just the way back up to the city. Hello? Definitely a Loki stream. Yeah, we've confirmed it several times over now. 100%. This is not a faker. This is not some faker who stole a dog from somewhere. This is a legit Loki. A legit Loki in the wild. Doing Loki things. Isn't that right, Sonny? Ah. Actually, you know what, Sonny? I'm gonna get your toy. 1 second. There you go. You happy there? I got it. I gave it to you. Yeah, chew on that. Good. Stop chewing on my toes. Alrighty, so yeah, so looked at the concept art for this. You could definitely tell that the idea seems to have been like it was just the priests, and they just, you know, it was a lot easier just to make a model and then make the whole thing stone. Let's see if I can bring it up here. Yeah, like here's what we got. Ow! Ooh, that stings. There we go. Something smaller here. I mean, this one is not really like the perfect, but yeah, you get an idea here. Like this looks a lot more like our skull. Very old Grail style, with Grail with a more ancient dragon look to her. I also like the idea of, like, you know, swords and stuff being stabbed in her. They ultimately went with like the bearded wyvern look though. And then yeah, like stuff like this. Let's see, what can I do? You can look here. it's very clear, like, oh yeah, those are clothes, and that looks more like a stone body corpse thing. So we have all that going for it. Look at that. Like, it's very clear. They're all supposed to just be, like, bodies covered in clothes still. So it definitely looks like it's kind of like an Archdragon Peak style where, like, you know, showing that we have, like, part of a dragon within us or something like that. And we're, like, you know, or taking the power from the dead or down here or whatever. And, like, what's the word? You know, filtering it through our bodies to turn us to stone or something like that, you know, show the possibility. There's definitely this clear idea that the Beastmen are trying to go back to like their old lineage where, like, they had the strength of beasts and the intellect of men in one, and that was the form of dragons. So yeah, let's see there. Do you know that's supposed to be Grail? I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be in the Grail section of the design works, but I can double check to be doubly sure. I can't really think of many giant dragons that would be this big. Yes, it's basically self-mummification, but with petrification, right? It's very clearly like Miyazaki had the Buddhist monks in mind even before the DLC. Like, that's very clear looking at, I mean, and to be fair, Zen Buddhism especially has always been on Miyazaki's mind when he thinks of the dragons, like going back to Dark Souls. So it's not like this is new or anything, right? It's just a little bit different because it's not about them actually turning themselves into dragons, right? That has to be done with hearts and things. Speaking of, Night Scout's got a thing. Regarding ADs, what does the JP Tech say about what the last person to use the rock heart saw with human eyes? Oh, that one, that's about the, I actually looking at this text earlier today, funny enough. So it's talking about the basically like the sky. So you know how the idea is that the painter always captures like the last scenery, quote unquote. The term for scenery in this case more literally means like the color of a view. So there's a bit of wordplay there because, you know, he's a painter, so he's like painting the colors of like the actual view that they have. But anyway, the point is like the scenery, the landscape. That landscape in this case is the evening glow. So basically the red sky you see, right? It's got like that, you know, that red sunset look to it, and that is essentially. Yeah, that is essentially being like, you know, that is the landscape being seen at the end. And they're even using the same term that you see in the paintings. I think it's the only time you see that term used. When that part of the art book in Langdale's, it might be. So, again, if it's supposed to be Grand Sax, that'd be even more interesting. Because then it's like, oh, it's not even Grey Roll. It's supposed to be an ancient dragon of Grand Sax's style. So I'll take either or. Evolving by devolving, yeah, essentially. Yeah, the interesting thing here, though, is the text talks about how it's tarnished. Now, again, tarnished is more literally something like the faded one, but a term that more, you know, that does mean tarnished is this idea of being color faded, quote unquote, right? So the idea is like, you know, the colors have faded, they're tarnished essentially. So that's what this terminology is here. You see it quite a few places, but it's interesting how it's used here, and it seems to be in direct reference to the shadow tree, the idea that the colors of that evening glow sky were being tarnished by the shadow tree blocking the way and like sort of covering that red with black, and sort of making the idea that much like the sky, the person who was becoming a dragon, or the last time the person saw as a human, as with the dragon heart, is that it's still far away from becoming a true ancient dragon, which we experience ourselves, right? We take the heart, we eat the heart. The heart turns us into a ancient dragon man, but we're not like full ancient dragon. We're only like, you know, along the way. Why would the colors of the sunset be tarnished and faded, as the end text puts it? Like I said, because of the shadow tree. That's the idea. The shadow tree, the big black. Well, what's the? I'm not gonna have a very good angle on it here, but like it's somewhere around here, right? From what I recall. Right, like the point of the painting. The point of the painting is that we're seeing like this, right? It's not. I'm not gonna be able to see. I'm not gonna be able to show it with the storm, so we have to. Right. But you essentially have this red sky with this in the way. This is what's tarnishing the colors of the sky, right? That's the idea. No, the shadow tree isn't mentioned directly, but that is very clearly what it's talking about, because it's very clearly talking about the sky, and that is what is prominently featured in the landscape portrait. It's, again, you have to compare it. Again, it's a direct reference to this, and that's something you have to always remember. All the pictures, all the portraits, they're trying to tell you about what the dead are looking at. Oh, I don't think I actually have the... No, I do have it. Here, there we go. This is the image. You have this big, beautiful sunset sky, but then there's that giant, nasty shadow tree right in the middle there. That's the idea that they're clearly talking about when they're saying, oh, it's tarnished, right? And again, there's this idea that, again, why is it alluding to using that term tarnished specifically? Because obviously there's the idea you have gold, and then you have sort of this black and faded, you know, it doesn't look like gold, right? That's the entire idea with the whole concept of shadow. You have the pretty nice side of gold, and then you have the dark, black, faded, tarnished aspect of gold. Anyway, so it's just a little bit of wordplay. I wonder if that ties in with the construction barrel practice, maybe a reference to the Hito Bashira. I had to Google what it's called. So here's what I'm thinking when it comes to the burial practices here. Obviously, the mausoleum aspect is a... Uh-oh, 1 second. That sneaky little Gus. She just took a box right from under my nose. I tried to quietly, like, just be like, oh, I'll go back here and chew on, I'll be fine. Anyway, so, the burial practice as I was getting on, I think what happened was basically, of course, you have like your temples and stuff. You're like, oh, I'm like, you know, I'm worshiping and everything, you know, you and the dragons and stuff. So you're going to build your grand temples and stuff. You have the city that, because you have to live in places. And then obviously when you die, you have to start burying it. Maybe even have dead that are already buried. As you're digging underground, because the idea is you want to get close to the rock and the earth and the gold and all that, because you want to, oh my God. Oh my goodness, you. She's searching. She's searching for more. That's what I'm saying. This can't be that long, chat, because I think I need to give her another long walk. I think she's got way too much energy if she's like searching around every little thing for something to chew. No, you don't. No. I see you, doggo. Anyway, I think what happened was that when they were digging underground, they found stuff like that giant skull, potentially, if that is supposed to be an ancient dragon skull, right? So like stuff like this oh my God, you just picked up those little sheets of paper. She's truly shameless. Anyway, so like they find like, you know, oh, this is where the ancient dragon bodies are buried, and so okay, we found the burial grounds. Now we're gonna try to build around them, but because we're like, we don't want to like dishonor or disrespect these graves that were kind of disturbing, we'll set up statues and things like that, you know, right in the hallways underneath, and to be like, this is where the ancients are buried, you know, kind of like a demarcation. And then, like, you know, like take like some of the stuff you did excavate and things, and like, you know, set it up here and be like, oh, we're sorry, we truly do respect and love you, right? She's searching for what you're hiding. Yeah, she's like going through my shelves and be like, is this something I can nibble? Is this something I can nibble? Is this something I can nibble? So then all of that's happening. And I think that as time progressed, they ran out of like underground space, so they ended up combining it with these like giant like above ground mausoleum temple things. So I think that's how it kind of developed, where first it was like, we have to make sure we stay close to the earth and be able to be buried in the earth with them. And then over time it was like, well, we only have so much earth and ground space around here, so eventually they had to compromise and start building above ground too. So like you have these facilities that may be partially underground, but eventually they have to go above ground, and they would be outside the city and the town and stuff like that, so it wasn't like they were going to be destroying somebody's home or whatever if they built up there. So that seems to be the process. Now what I think I'm now trying to figure out is whether the human population and stuff like that, like, was it kind of like, okay, we have some humans that stuck around here, or did like they all basically leave except for maybe some Newman or what have you, right? Because we definitely have signs that maybe astrologers and stuff, when they migrated down here, would end up coming to reside. But was that kind of like a more exceptional circumstance where it's like, oh, you have these astrologers who are interested in things, and maybe they got curious about what the farm Azula Beastman Civ and stuff was like, and we're like, you know, staying and studying and learning from them in here? Because this should be, the stuff with the astrologers should theoretically be after they lost access to the Elden Ring anyway, so it may have been something like they were kind of curious about some of their cosmological knowledge in the Elden Beast and stuff like that from yesteryear. Sunny, where are you hiding? I don't like that you kind of walked off, girly. Anyway, and then, like I said, it's clear that they definitely had a Beast King by then with the lions and stuff, but this theoretically could have happened at any point in the history. And I do wonder if the idea was like, did they have the Beast King before then, or did their concept of kingship only arise when the Elden Lord became a thing, right? So yeah, there's a few quirks I need to kind of like think over, see if we need to even land one way or the other. And then obviously I'm not gonna have to care about the death route when it comes to FA. That stuff is like firmly under the Godwin stuff, so that's gonna be like a Prince of Death. But yeah, it'll just be like, oh guys, look, see, the death stuff, it's not limited by what Erdtree roots are still connected. Even Erdtree roots that have already infested the ground here and spread to throughout the city, and then flew up in the air when the entire landmass basically got lifted up by Placky's storm, and then, well, I guess we should say more like the meteorite crash, and then Placky's storm is keeping it together. But anyway, point is that, you know, now that's like just floating up in the sky and things like that, it's still got the death root that's able to infest it. And same with the realm of shadow and stuff. It's very clear that death root operates on it doesn't operate just on a physical level, it operates on some deeper cosmological level, whether that means that's because the Erdtree itself operates that way, and so the death root is just kind of piggybacking off of that, or if there's because like some deeper thing going on with the death root itself. Sunny, you can get back here. And then we got nice red flowers and stuff here. But definitely, more interesting to me is the flowers that we see on Storm Hill that are here with the red and orange. That's obviously a lot more interesting. Considering the importance of spirals reaching to the heavens in the DLC, the storm might have predated the meteorite. I've been thinking about the same thing. I've been thinking that Placky, assuming that Placky, ever since Placky's been waiting for his god, that there has been a storm, assuming that is true, then yeah, I think the meteorite has to come, because the meteorite clearly happens during the Ancient Dragon War, but everything with Placky and the storm has to happen at the very least by the time Bale does the rebellion thing, though it could be earlier. And I just don't see any way you can get the timelines to match up with either of those without some major finagling. So I do think that they has to be separate events, with Placky's storm coming well before the meteorite, and then the storm is already there, so the storm just kind of gathers up the meteorite debris and everything, and kind of just like flies off with it or what have you. Now, the other option could be that Placky was waiting, but there was no storm, because there's no mention of the storm in the DLC or anything as far as I could find. So if that's the case, then you can make the argument that Placky is waiting, maybe like waiting in that area where, you know, we see everything get restored or whatever, right? But it's only when the meteorite strikes happens that Placky's then like, oh shit, I gotta make sure my wifey has our home to still come home to, and then does the storm thing in order to keep everything together. And that's the actual the order of events. So it's like meteorite first, then storm, and or right. Either way, these have to be two separate events, whether they're close together or they're like, you know, hundreds if not thousands of years apart. And then we have the little trees here. So you have a little bit of we have a few conifers here. Conifers, of course, in the city and stuff. Some conifers here, and little conifers down here. So all together, it's mostly, again, especially if this is truly if this is the south, but this is supposed to be the northern side that connected to the mountaintops once upon a time, then yeah, it makes sense to have the conifers here. Same thing with the town, because that's where like a bunch of the astrologists would be coming to stay and stuff like that. So all of that would flow nicely together. Now, yeah, this might be the stuff that would have connected to Dragon Barrow potentially once upon a time, right? It definitely makes more sense that this northern section was in the south with the Dragon Temple and everything, just because it's like, well, if you're the Stormhawks, you're going to be obviously hitting the southern end first because that's the closest to your side. So that's what I would be expecting. Sonny, I just saw you come by. Get over here. Another problem with these puppies, they do their own thing. They're like, they don't listen to anybody. They only listen when they wanna. It's gonna be a long time breaking her in, I feel, chat. Yeah, I see you. Yeah, you get over here, girly. Yeah, you don't look at me like that. She is so cute, though. She is so cute. I'll send pics on the Discord later, but she is truly adorable. She's a cutie patootie. She's just a little rambunctious. She's a wild dog. In my opinion, the tornadoes might be what made FA's godhood ritual work. Placky retreated within one later. Okay, so this is an interesting idea. Is like, is Marika's godhood unique, or is this something that all gods of the Elden Ring have to go through? In which case, what would be their equivalent to the Gate of Divinity, right? Would be interesting if the idea is that like a storm could accomplish something like that. But like, again, without understanding fully the process myself, I'm not entirely sure what would be the means. I do think that Placky with the storm and relation to time powers definitely lends itself to... I think there's something there with the idea that you combine rock and gold and it gives you dominion over time. And I think for an Elden Lord especially, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Placky's time powers are kind of the equivalent of Godfrey receiving the Amber of the Erd Tree, you know, the drops of sap and stuff like that, and using that holy power in a similar vein. Again, I'm not entirely sure that's necessarily connected to why Godfrey's considered a demigod, right? Or if that's like a separate thing related to like the gate of divinity and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if the idea is like, you know, the power that Placky specifically received from the Elden Ring gave him more gold power, and that ended up hitting the level where he could manipulate time to a limited extent. She's experiencing life. Yeah, she is. Oh my god, you guys should have seen her in the car. With the car movies, she's like looking up, left, right, back, like she's like constantly like so overstimulated. Like, it's clear that she's not used to just seeing so much crap. driving around and things like that. She was surprisingly well like, she's a crazy one. She kept wanting to be shotgun with me, but then like once the car got moving, I was like, oh, thank God you're actually cooperating. Like I don't know how I would have taken it if she constantly was trying to get in the front seat with me while we were driving on the highways and stuff. That would have been absolutely hell on earth. And you can see a... wait, what was that? 1 second, chat. Yeah, chat, I think she wants to go. She's not as quiet as Rusty was either. I think marrying into lordship comes with a free 40% holy resistance. Yeah, is it 40 or 20 or whatever it is? Like, that'd be funny. The thing with Placky, I noticed when I was looking through it, though, is that all his resistances are like 40 or whatever. So I'm not sure how much we can be like, oh, he's really resistant to holy. Well, they make him seemingly resistant to everything. So I don't know if I could be like, oh, get it? It's because he's Elden Lord, right? So like, I'm not so sure there. Anyway, guys, but like, yeah, I think I need to take care of this dog and stuff, so I think we're gonna have to end things a little early. But like I said, guys, I'm gonna be having to prioritize her over you for a bit. I'm gonna still try to do the streams and everything, but like, I can't promise they'll be very long when I do and stuff like that, because again, it's just that basically if I'm not working, I have to be giving my full attention to this little one before she... What are you got in your mouth this time? This is exactly why! Anyway, talking to y'all later, so oh yeah, so me